He wrote an open letter to Wilt Chamberlain.
Ooh, I was just taking advantage of your weak defensive skills. So when I drop those 50 points on you at the forum, people are still trying to figure out where you disappeared to in that series. That probably would have reminded you of your own ineptness at the free throw line. God dang! All right, what's good with y'all, man? We are back with another video, and this one's gonna be interesting. So to all my Wilt Chamberlain fans, man, I know you guys feel some type of way about what I said in the last video. Look, I just want to clarify some things. I can admit when I'm wrong. One thing I want to make clear though, I've always said, Wilt Chamberlain will be great in any era. Wilt Chamberlain would be great in any era, right? Great, not good, not decent. He'll be great, top 5, top 10 in whatever era he's playing in, right? Let's make that clear. One thing that I didn't agree on is that, I remember he averaged 50 points in a season, right? I don't think he's going to average 60, 70 points in today's game. Calm down. I don't think he's going to get a 100-point game in today's game. Calm down. So I just feel like he's going to be a great player in today's game. He'll be great. I don't think he's going to adapt a three-point shot. Somebody said in the comments, I'm like, bro, all because he hook shot it from the three-point line doesn't mean he wants any business being out there. He's struggled from the free throw line. What makes you think he wants to try a shot he wants to push that thing with one arm no, but he's going to be dominating that paint though, for sure. Yeah, man, and that's all I said. Now, one thing I want to take back that I learned from, I admit my mistakes. I said that his comp back in the 60s was not comp, and I want to take that back and say he did have comp in the 60s, bro. I want to take that L, but everything else I am. Anyway, this video might change y'all perspectives on Wilt Chamberlain. I don't know if a lot of you people know this. Maybe my old cats, maybe the OGs. I think you guys may know some of this stuff here. Now, granted, he's a bit older here. He's like 34 versus like a prime Bucks Kareem Abdul. But at the same time, a lot of you guys are like, oh, he could have played till he was 50. Like, I get it, I understand it. So we're gonna get into it, but I think he also said some wild stuff too. So we're gonna get into it and let's see what he's talking about here. Let's see what this video is about. I think it's very interesting. We're gonna look at the beef between Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Wilt Chamberlain. Let's stop wasting time. Let's get straight. Do it.
Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar are pillars of NBA history. Two GOATs, no debate about it. 10 years between them, they started out as pals. But when they became peers in the NBA, there was no friendship to speak of. Instead, there were constant comparisons, jealousies, hatreds, and personal attacks through autobiography after autobiography.
Sheesh.
Before Twitter, you had to be a publisher if you wanted to talk trash. Wilt Chamberlain was a marvel of athleticism and strength, setting millions of records with bone-shattering dunks and
like I said, highest average, 50 points per game. I wonder what year that was, because it matters. Don't act like stop trying to make it seem like the NBA was just like didn't have an easy time like in the 60s, like in the early 60s. Like, come on, bro. Anyway, most points in a season. That's crazy. Most points in a game, of course. Points as a rookie, 50+ point games. Okay.
In 62, he averaged 50 points a game and scored 100 points in a single game. And folks, he did more than score. His rookie year, he averaged
Philly.
27 rebounds a game.
There was nobody like him
in 1968, he led the league in assists as a center. The NBA changed some rules because they decided Wilt was so good it was unfair.
I want to know this. I even made them change some of the rules of basketball. Offensive goaltending was a rule created only because I was able to do things with the ball in flight that others couldn't do. So they made what I did illegal. So offensive goaltending, okay. They also widened the lane to keep me farther away from the basket. The rule makers made it illegal to throw the ball over the backboard on an out-of-bounds pass because I could jump so high, catch the pass, and dunk it. So I mean, yeah. I agree with all these rules here. Calm down, Wilt. Like, calm down. They haven't seen it done like you before. You know what I'm saying?
But he only won 2 titles in his 14-year career, which, when he was playing, defined him more than the metric ton of accomplishments we've gone over. He was labeled a loser, never given the recognition you'd think would be heaped at his feet. For example, the year he scored 100 points in a game and averaged 50 points per game, he was not MVP. Bill Russell was. For the majority of his NBA career, he was compared to the Celtics center, who took the role of winner. He had 11 titles to Wilt's 2. And head-to-head, Russell usually came out on top.
7, 8 playoffs.
In retirement, Wilt spoke to that loser label during an interview with Bob Costas.
It was Wilt, the loser. And that pointed me.
Never admit what bothers you. It just gives your enemies an easy avenue of attack. Speaking of enemies, let's get to know the other half of this beef. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Let's go.
Kareem was more of a finesse player than a tough guy. The skyhook was his weapon as he took over the NBA in the 70s and 80s. Like Wilt, his dominance caused rule changes. The NCAA banned dunking because Kareem was too good at it.
Wait,
Wilt,
what? They banned dunking? I wonder how long that lasted, because what?
Kareem's resume does not fit on one page.
Look at the resume.
Though there was a...
She said it doesn't fit on the page. 6-time NBA champ, 6-time MVP, 2-time finals MVP, 19-time All-Star, all-time NBA point leader, 4-time block shot champ, 2-time scoring champ, rebounding champ. Come on. And the list goes
difference
on.
Between the two. Their relationship began on good terms. At age 15, Kareem, named Lou Alcindor at the time, met Wilt, and Wilt took Lou under his wing. He let the kid hang around with him and his friends at jazz clubs, hearts games, and horse races. Alcindor was completely in awe. Who wouldn't be?
Right.
A teenager hanging out with an NBA player? When I was a teenager, I'd be in awe of hanging out with a slightly older teenager. Wilt gave Alcindor 2 suits, which Alcindor wanted to keep even though they were sweat-stained and kind of gross. His mom threw them out.
Yeah.
Alcindor's first crush was one of Wilt's girlfriends.
Wow.
Oh, by the way, Wilt had a lot of girlfriends.
Look at the stats. That's probably his greatest stat right there. His greatest achievement right there. He knocked down 20,000 women, supposedly. He looked young right there. How old was he right here? Maybe 40, 50? It says the sexual prowess of Wilt Chamberlain, 20,000 women. That math is ridiculous.
But as Alcindor grew up, he sort of grew away from
Damn, he got that Jay-Z lip.
As a young man, he had a few formative experiences that made him into an outspoken advocate on social justice and black issues. At age 17, he witnessed police brutality during the Harlem race riots of 1964. 3 years later, as a college student at UCLA, he attended the Muhammad Ali Summit, a meeting of vocal black athletes and political figures throwing support behind Ali and his refusal to be drafted to the Vietnam War. In 1968, Alcindor and other black athletes boycotted the Olympics in a protest of racism. Wilt Chamberlain's politics were different. He was a Republican who very publicly supported Nixon. In '68, the same year Alcindor boycotted the Olympics, Chamberlain attended Martin Luther King Jr.'s funeral with Nixon. So, when Alcindor got to the NBA in '69, he wasn't so interested in being friends with Wilt, which irritated Wilt for a number of reasons. Nobody likes to be rejected.
He got so heavily into the black pride, black power thing, he started to snub me. I don't know. I think with Wilt Chamberlain, I think he was so accepted by white people, he just didn't care about nothing. Like, he didn't care about race, stuff like that, because he's been, since a young kid, he's just been so talented. Like, white people loved him. You get what I'm saying? I think it's like O.J. Simpson. I'm not black, I'm O.J. I feel like Wilt had a little bit of that, you know? I don't know Wilt like that. I don't know him personally, but just based off of what's going on here, hanging out with Richard Nixon, I don't care what party you indulge in, but he got so heavily into the black pride, black power thing, he started to snub me, bro. It's like in the 60s, 70s, bro. Y'all went through the worst racist shit you can think of. I'm pretty sure his dad and his mom probably told him stories about what they went through, and whatever. I guess he didn't really experience that like that because he was just so because he was accepted by white folks. It's just weird. Kind of like Lil Wayne and police officers, like with the Uncle Bob story, you know? Uncle Bob saved him. So it's like more like O.J. Simpson, but again, I don't know Wilt.
And also, he felt unfairly judged. And put it kind of...
He seems to think that because I haven't changed my name and still have a lot of white friends, I've abandoned the black man.
Bluntly. Safe to say, off the court, they had a pretty icy relationship. And then they had to face each other on the court. The 1971 Western Conference Finals was technically between the Bucks and Lakers, but the real battle was Alcindor versus Chamberlain. When the Lakers earned entry to the Western Conference Finals, the press wasn't that interested in Wilt's 25-point, 19 rebound, 9 assist performance.
Yo, he's sweating hard right there, too. They just wanted to know
how Wilt felt about facing Alcindor next, which Chamberlain didn't love. This brief interaction actually speaks to a second reason for early beef. So, remember how Wilt spent the majority of his career being compared to Bill Russell? Well, now Russell had retired, and Wilt was being measured against the new guy. Wilt was denied his chance to just be king, to have people say, wow, look how good he is, no need to compare him to anyone at all, let's just enjoy him. Press during the series focused on which center outplayed the other. The big men split games 1 and 2, even though the Bucks won both. Game 3 was Chamberlain's, and afterwards he talked a little trash against Alcindor. He implied he always outplayed Alcindor. Look at the kid's shooting percentage. Game 3 was Chamberlain's, and afterwards he talked a little trash against...
He isn't yet the rebounder he could be, and he certainly doesn't defend in the class of Bill Russell. Sheesh.
Alcindor. He implied he always outplayed Alcindor.
It was against me. He had shot below the normal average. Yo, he is talking mad mess right now.
In Game 4, Alcindor played like...
Just imagine if they had Twitter back then. Wilt would have been... and seeing head ass, like what?
Cut Wilt's comments out of the newspaper, taped him up in his locker, and stared at them for the entire 48 hours between games. He shot 70% from the field, shutting down Wilt's shooting percentage argument.
Right.
Game 5 saw Wilt get the better of Alcindor, but his team lost the series.
Look at how skinny his arms are.
Once again, he played well, but ended up the loser. Lou and the Bucks, on the other hand, went on to be the big winners.
Right.
I should mention that, okay, Lou beat Wilt, but Lou's in his prime and Wilt is 34. That has to be taken into account. Oh, no? It doesn't?
Sheesh.
At least not for some people at the time, including venerable Bill Russell.
Sheesh.
But the battle would rage again in the following year's Western Conference Finals. Alcindor had announced he converted to Islam and changed his name to Kareem abdul-jabbar.
Thank you.
Which turned some fans off him and onto Wilt. The Wilt-Kareem matchup was the draw of the playoffs, expected to be more exciting than the finals. The Lakers and Bucks split games 1 through 4, but the center duel was one-sided. After Game 4, Kareem implied Wilt was washed up. I don't know why players trash each other before the end of the series. Game 5 and 6, Wilt played to make Kareem eat his words. The Lakers GM called Game 6 Chamberlain's greatest game as a Laker from start to finish. He blocked 10 shots, 3 of which were Kareem's. Oh yeah, and he clinched a trip to the finals, which the Lakers won. In the locker room, he received a congratulatory phone call from Kareem, like a politician receiving a concession call on election night. Wilt was a winner, for that one moment in time. Winning in '72 wasn't a final verdict in the big man debate. Comparisons continued even after Wilt retired, and Kareem usually came out on top. Even the hard numbers didn't sway the argument Wilt's way. And it's not like retired Wilt could defend himself on the court, so he had to find other ways to defend himself / attack Kareem. In his 1973 autobiography, Chamberlain said Kareem's rebounding was lacking and put him in a class below Nate Thurman, Bill Russell, and just like some other guys, I don't know, whoever else is around. But the personal slights weren't what bothered Kareem about Wilt's book. In a totally different...
Wait. He said, what is he saying? Let me wipe my glasses off real quick. Cause I don't think I'm seeing this correctly. Okay. They don't have my experience and my sophistication. So understandably, many of them are not good companions or lovers for me. Black women also tend to have more sexual hangups than white women do, and I don't like any sexual hangups. They don't have my experience and my sophistication. So understandably, many of them are not good companions or lovers for me. Okay, so we can look at this two ways. We can be upset, right? Or we can look at it as if he's just being honest. He's just being honest with himself, because I think this is just something that reflects him as a person. He's like, I don't like black women. You know what I'm saying? Like most black women ain't trying to eat my butt. You know what I'm saying? White women like to eat my butt. That's what I like. I think that's what he talking about, sexual hangups. Like what? I think that's what he mean, right? Is that what he mean? Wilt, my boy, that's just really pushing that argument that you are like an O.J. Simpson. You like white women. You ain't have to blow down a black woman like that, though. They already got enough to deal with when it come to like stuff like that. So, especially in that time. So that was a big no-no on Wilt's behalf. And so if you're a Wilt stan, just know he was putting down the black woman like bad when it come to companionship, sophistication, being a lover. Now he said for me, so I get it. All because they want to eat your butt. That don't mean they ain't sophisticated. Like, calm down, bro.
Different chapter, Wilt said he found black women to be less sophisticated socially and sexually than white women.
Sheesh.
Kareem absolutely hated that and said so publicly.
Unnecessary.
Which did nothing to slow Wilt's criticism of it.
Hold on. I just don't think he's a great defensive center. He's supposed to be. Chamberlain said, I see a lot of times when he doesn't bust his tail to get down the court on defense. He's still a terrible transitional player. The man has to be somewhat lazy to get only 11 rebounds. Yo, he is like on him about these rebounds, bro. And 11? 11's not the craziest, but I mean, hey,
which he kept up throughout Kareem's entire career. Kareem didn't respond for a while. Maybe because he felt his play was enough of a rebuttal. Wilt's opinions on Kareem were not widely held. Abdul-Jabbar did finally fight back in 1983.
Bro, it's the same pose. yo, this is funny, bro, because Wilt did the same exact pose. I'm not going back to it, but y'all remember it. He had the arm down. He was talking hella shit about Kareem. Now, Wilt had a lot to complain about because from the start, he couldn't control me. Wilt's entire game was built. Okay, anyway, and I was mobile. I found out fast that he could not handle me on offense. I was 11 years younger than he been, I think. As a very deep threat, and sometimes on the court, I did embarrass him, though never intentionally. Whew. Shots have been thrown. This is a beef for real.
His autobiography. He took plenty of swipes at Chamberlain's play and reinforced the narrative that Wilt was a loser.
Oh.
He also provided further insight into their falling out. For Kareem, it all went back to comments in Wilt's autobiography, not the comments about him.
That's a creepy picture,
but the one saying
Kareem.
Black women were inferior to white women.
Yeah, this was sexuality and capitalism. Oh man, come on, you got this capitalization, and racial abandonment all in one piece. Yeah, it was terrible.
It offended everything Kareem stood for and believed in. To Kareem, Wilt was a traitor, and this beef was about more than basketball. But, basketball was still a part of it. A year later, Kareem broke Chamberlain's career scoring record amid celebrations, praise, love, and affection from everybody except Wilt. I mean, Chamberlain went to Kareem's ceremony and tried to play the part of gracious torch passer, but instead came off kinda jealous and petty. He said Kareem deserved the honor, which, is just a statement of fact based on numbers, not really a compliment. And I get being like, hey, where was the fanfare when I set records? Because remember,
jealous.
Wilt got minimal recognition when he did cool stuff, and even got called selfish when he scored a lot. But he went further than just pointing out the disparity. He denigrated Kareem's accomplishment, saying, well, it's not Bill Russell's rebounding record, which Wilt broke.
Back to the rebounding.
And also, he casually dropped the opinion that he was still way better than Kareem. His position did not soften 6 years later. In fact, it took on a life of its own, with Wilt insisting his record would stand if he'd been concentrating on scoring later in his career. So sure, he comes off a little petty, little jealous, but that probably makes breaking the record all the sweeter for Kareem. Tired of years of undermining comments, Kareem went after Wilt in his next autobiography, published in 1990.
How many autobiographies
He wrote
can
an
you
open
have?
letter to Wilt Chamberlain.
Ooh.
Wordplay. The letter spanned many topics.
Hold up.
All of
I was just taking advantage of your weak defensive skills. So when I drop those 50 points on you at the forum, people are still trying to figure out where you disappeared to in that series. That probably would have reminded you of your own ineptness at the free throw line. God dang! Wow. You know Wilt Chamberlain about to come back with another one. You already know. Because if Kareem had just made two, I think Wilt just had the one. So if Kareem made two, you already know. And he talking like this, Wilt coming back with that fire. This is hilarious, bro.
them mean. But the thesis of the three-page
Twitter.
letter was Wilt's jealous. Not because Kareem earned more respect and adoration, but because Kareem was a winner and Wilt was a loser. Kareem closed by saying, "People will remember that I worked with my teammates and helped us win. You'll be remembered as a whining crybaby and a quitter, stats and all." Stats and all.
Oh my
Kareem was
gosh.
attempting to pull the rug out from under Wilt's legacy with the stats don't matter if you don't have titles argument. It wasn't a new argument, which made it worse. Kareem was lending expertise and credence to an opinion that haunted Chamberlain, being a loser.
Yo.
A year later, Wilt published his second autobiography
I knew
and
it.
pretended the letter didn't bother him. Why do I say pretended? Because in his book, over and over again,
Okay, here we go.
Chamberlain argued.
All right, I was still the best center in the game. Some people felt that Kareem, then with the Bucks, was the best, but I didn't. He was scoring more points than I was, but that because my role had changed. Okay. When you see Kareem on top of the block shot list, remember that only after I retired did they start keeping the record of blocks. Okay, so there's some stats missing for Wilt. I got you. He broke one record, total number of points scored. Believe me, I've got plenty of other records neither Kareem nor anyone else can touch. Okay.
He was better than
That's
Kareem,
facts.
even though Kareem got more recognition. He also kind of went off on Kareem's farewell tour. In Kareem's last year, at each final away game, opposing teams held a pre-game ceremony and gave him some pretty sweet gifts while the rival crowds stood to applaud him.
Oh, wow.
Chamberlain called the tour a contrived fiasco full of material bullshit. He said Kareem should have made charitable donations instead of accepting luxury goods. The extent
he's
to
a
which he
hater.
criticized the tour sounds a bit like sour grapes. But hey, Wilt didn't get a Rolls Royce when he retired, so why can't he at least have some sour grapes? As time wore on, this beef cooled down. With both guys retired, they had less opportunity to talk about each other.
Yeah.
And most famous people only get to write one autobiography, so
Right.
they were already kind of pushing it. In the late 90s, they did a commercial together, and according to Kareem, put their feud behind them on set. He claimed he never hated Wilt, just his politics, which I don't know if I totally believe, but if he believes it, I'll drop the issue. When Wilt passed away in 1999, Kareem had nothing but praise for the Dipper. This beef is unique because external factors created it. If we think of this beef as a full cow, stick with me here, the cow had two hearts. For Kareem, the heart was a difference in politics and an offensive, generalized racial statement from his one-time mentor. For Wilt, the heart was the imbalance of respect from fans, press, and the league.
I feel you. You
The
didn't
rest
get
of
the
the
respect
cow,
you
the
thought you
muscles
deserved.
and ligaments and spots and hooves, were generated by how each
But
guy
you wasn't
responded
winning.
to their heart. The post-game trash talk, the decades of undermining comments, the dueling autobiographies, etc. And while there was an entire cow of beef between these two phenomenal athletes, it did not hurt their legacies. Wilt's loser stigma was lost to the hard numbers and his tome of accomplishments. The guy's a legend. And Kareem's legacy stands pat as one of the greatest ever. Wilt's digs were minority opinion at the time and are non-existent opinion now. Their legacies survived the beef because goats can't be taken down by a cow.
I see what you did there. That was really good. I learned a lot right there. Did y'all learn a lot? I learned a lot right there. Oh my God. There's no doubt in Wilt's game. This doesn't change my mind at all about Wilt's game. I never was a big fan of Wilt to begin with, but some of you Wilt fans, y'all wildin'. I don't know. It's questionable. It's questionable for sure. I wasn't around during that time, so I can't talk about it too much. This is just like a little bit of it. So the black woman thing was kind of out of pocket and uncalled for. Just based off of what I seen, I wasn't liking it. And he was hanging out with Richard Nixon. Weird. So he was an Uncle Tom. He was a O.J. Simpson. Still a great player, all-time great. All respect to Wilt. All respect to Kareem. Kareem sunned him at the end of his career. Kareem made the end of his career hell. I actually like Kareem a lot more. I'm about to watch some Kareem's. We gotta watch some Kareem highlights. I think this is gonna close the case for Wilt for me. This is my last Wilt video. We're moving on to the real GOAT of the centers, which is Kareem Abdul. And we're just gonna roll with that, bro. But yeah, man, y'all comment, bro. Comment, please. Tell me what y'all think about this video. I need to hear y'all thoughts and opinions about how Wilt was coming off so crazy and how Kareem really sunned Wilt. He sunned him. If they had Twitter, Kareem would have won that Twitter beef 100%. But yeah, man, it's your boy Ochi. That's my reaction, and I'm out.